I didn't react immediately. Every muscle in my body screamed for me to lash out, to wipe that smug grin off Damien's face, to demand answers from the woman I had given my life to. But a confrontation here, now, would accomplish nothing. It would turn into a scene, one where I was the fool, the betrayed husband who let emotions control him. No, I needed patience. I needed to be smart. Swallowing the lump in my throat, I turned away, forcing my legs to carry me through the rest of the night. I greeted familiar faces, laughed at jokes I barely registered, even held Emma's hand when she looped her fingers through mine. The weight of her touch sickened me now, the same hand that had caressed another man, fingers that had traced his skin the way they once traced mine. Her voice, once soothing, now grated against my ears. "You're quiet tonight." I smiled tightly. "Just tired. Long day at work." She bought the excuse without question, pressing a soft kiss to my cheek before turning to chat with a friend. I studied her, forcing myself to see the truth I had ignored for far too long. The way she lit up when she thought no one noticed, the stolen glances at her phone, the way she angled her body slightly away from me, as if shielding something. Damien's words replayed in my mind. "She can't get enough of me." I clenched my jaw. Was it true? Had I been nothing more than a background character in my own marriage? The thought clawed at my insides, but I forced my breathing to remain even. Anger wouldn't help me now. I needed proof. The ride home was suffocating. Emma hummed softly, fingers lazily tracing circles on my wrist as if everything was fine. Maybe to her it was. She thought she had fooled me. She thought she had a man at home, a lover in the shadows, and the best of both worlds. Fool me once. As we pulled into the driveway, she stretched with a yawn. "I'm exhausted. You coming to bed?" I shook my head. "Gonna answer some emails first." She shrugged, kissed me goodnight, and disappeared into our bedroom, the same bed she had undoubtedly shared with him when I wasn't home. My stomach twisted, bile rising in my throat, but I forced it down. I had to be methodical. If I played my cards right, she wouldn't even see the storm coming. The moment the bedroom door shut, I got to work. Phone in hand, I scrolled through our shared service provider's account. Call logs, message history, timestamps. Names I didn't recognize appeared repeatedly, but one stood out: Damien. Frequent calls, late-night texts, patterns emerging like a puzzle falling into place. My pulse thundered. She hadn't even tried to hide it. Then came the real test. I logged into our home security app. The cameras in the living room, kitchen, and hallway played back routine moments until I rewound further. 2 weeks ago, a night I had worked late, I clicked play. There she was, Emma, in our home. And she wasn't alone. Damien's smug face filled the screen, his hands on her waist, his lips claiming hers in a way that should have been mine. I watched, frozen, as they laughed, whispered, touched. They moved through my house like they owned it, like I didn't exist. Every illusion I had clung to shattered in an instant. I exhaled slowly, the cold weight of betrayal settling over me. My wife was cheating. Not just in secret, not just in hidden messages and stolen moments. She was bold enough to bring him here, to the place we built together. And Damien, he was laughing about it, mocking me, calling me clueless. Rage burned through my veins, but I didn't let it consume me. Not yet. Revenge wasn't just about hurting them. It was about making sure they never forgot. This wasn't just about catching them. It was about destroying everything they thought they could get away with. Morning light filtered through the blinds, casting long shadows across the bedroom. Emma stirred beside me, sighing softly in her sleep. I lay still, staring at the ceiling, every nerve in my body humming with restrained fury. The evidence sat on my phone: messages, call logs, video footage, each frame a dagger to my chest. I had all I needed. Now it was just a matter of how far I was willing to go. I rolled out of bed, careful not to wake her, and made my way to the kitchen. Coffee brewed in silence as I scrolled through more details, piecing together a timeline of betrayal. Damien's name popped up over and over. Midnight texts, missed calls, even calendar entries marked with vague excuses. My fingers tightened around the mug. I had been blind. No more. Emma's soft footsteps echoed down the hallway. "You're up early," she murmured, wrapping her arms around me from behind. The scent of her, once intoxicating, now made my stomach turn. I forced a smile, playing my part. Couldn't sleep. Too much on my mind. She kissed my shoulder, oblivious. "Busy day ahead?" "Yeah," I said, turning to face her, watching her closely. "What about you?" Emma hesitated, a flicker of something in her eyes, gone as quickly as it came. "Meetings all afternoon, probably late." A blatant lie. I had already checked her schedule. There were no meetings, no obligations. She was planning to see him. I set my cup down and brushed a thumb across her cheek. "I hope work isn't too stressful." She smiled, leaning into my touch. "Nothing I can't handle." Liar. She left an hour later, dressed in her usual office attire, but I knew where she was really going. I followed at a distance, my car blending into morning traffic. She didn't head to work. Instead, she drove across town, pulling into a small, upscale hotel. I parked a block away and watched as Damien greeted her at the entrance, his hands immediately finding her waist. They disappeared inside, laughing. Heat coiled in my gut, a violent storm brewing beneath the surface. My grip on the steering wheel tightened, but I refused to let rage dictate my next move. No, I wouldn't barge in like a jealous fool. That would give them the satisfaction of seeing me broken. Instead, I made a call. "I need a favor," I told my friend Mark, a private investigator. "Discretion is key." Mark didn't ask questions. Within minutes, he was on his way. For the next 2 hours, I remained in my car, watching, waiting. When Emma and Damien finally emerged, their carefree expressions only fueled my resolve. I snapped photos, clear, undeniable proof. By the time I got home, my plan had fully formed. It wasn't enough to expose them. I wanted them to feel every ounce of the humiliation they had inflicted upon me. I transferred copies of the evidence to a secure folder, then began crafting my masterpiece, an email set to go out to Emma's friends, colleagues, even her family. Attached were the photos, the messages, the timestamps, a subject line that would destroy her carefully curated life. "Emma's double life, the truth you deserve to know." I stared at the screen, finger hovering over the send button. Not yet. Timing was everything. That night, Emma came home acting as if nothing had changed. She kissed me, curled up beside me on the couch, played the perfect wife. I let her. But tomorrow her world would crumble. The next morning I woke before Emma. Her face was serene, peaceful, completely unaware that today would be the day everything shattered. I slipped out of bed without a sound, heart pounding with anticipation. My laptop sat open on the desk where I had left it the night before, the email still waiting to be sent. A single click would unleash the truth, dragging her out of the fantasy world she had created with Damien. But first, I wanted to watch it unfold. I brewed coffee, the rich aroma filling the kitchen as I listened to Emma stir awake. Her footsteps padded down the hallway before she entered, stretching lazily. Smells good," she murmured, wrapping her arms around my waist. "You're up early again." I forced an easy smile. Had a lot on my mind. She hummed in acknowledgement, completely unaware of what was coming. I watched her sip her coffee, scrolling through her phone with a small smile, probably checking for Damien's messages. The moment she left for work, I clicked send. The email shot out to dozens of inboxes. Her coworkers, friends, family. A flood of evidence detailing her affair, Damien's involvement, and proof of their lies. There was no taking it back. Now I waited. I spent the morning tracking reactions. First, a wave of silence. Then messages started pouring in. Mutual friends reached out, some in disbelief, others with quiet apologies. Emma's sister called, her voice dripping with fury. I ignored them all. By noon, my phone buzzed violently. Emma. I let it ring. A second call, then a third. By the fifth, I finally answered, keeping my voice calm. Hello? Her breathing was ragged. What did you do? What do you mean? I asked, feigning innocence. Don't play dumb. My inbox is full. My boss saw it. Everyone saw it. You sent those pictures? The messages? You ruined me. I leaned back in my chair, savoring her panic. No, Emma. You ruined yourself. A choked sob filled the line. I can fix this. We can fix this, please. I laughed. Fix it? You spent months sneaking around with him, bringing him into our house, humiliating me. Now you're begging. Her voice cracked. I didn't want this. I never meant to hurt you. You just didn't want to get caught, I corrected. Silence. Then a whisper. Where do we go from here? I exhaled slowly, letting the moment stretch. Then, with a calm finality, I said the words that sealed her fate. We don't go anywhere, Emma. I'm leaving. And you? You get to live with the consequences. I ended the call, blocking her number. Outside, the sun shone brightly, but inside, Emma's world had just turned to ashes. By evening, Emma was at the door. I heard her frantic knocks, her muffled sobs, but I didn't move. She had called me over a dozen times from different numbers. Ignored. Texts flooded in, each more desperate than the last. Please talk to me. I made a mistake. I'll do anything to fix this. I can't lose you. You're my everything. Lies. All of it. The same lips that had whispered to Damien now begged me for mercy. I had none left to give. A few hours passed before the knocking stopped. I checked the cameras. Emma sat on the porch, face buried in her hands. The woman who had betrayed me, the woman who had stolen from me, not just my trust, but years of my life, was finally feeling the weight of her actions. I opened the door just enough to look at her. Go home, Emma. She looked up, tears streaking her face. I don't have a home without you. I studied her for a moment. A month ago, those words would have broken me. Now, they meant nothing. That's not my problem. She reached for me, but I stepped back. Please, we can fix this. I laughed, shaking my head. No, Emma. You had everything, and you threw it away for him. Go ask Damien to fix it. Her face twisted with fresh agony. He's gone. He won't even answer me after what you did. I let the satisfaction sink in. Damien had been loud, arrogant, so sure of himself. But the moment everything crumbled, he vanished like a coward. Typical. Then it looks like you lost everything. Her sobs filled the air, but I didn't stay to comfort her. I closed the door, locking it for good. The next day, I met with my lawyer. The divorce papers were already drafted, everything moving forward at my pace. My bank accounts were secured, assets protected. Emma would get nothing but regret. I took a deep breath, staring at my reflection in the mirror. For the first time in years, I felt free. No more lies, no more pretending. 3 months later, I was in a new apartment, a fresh start. My phone buzzed, an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but curiosity won. Hello? A familiar voice answered, soft, hesitant. It's Claire. I smiled. Claire, an old college friend, someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Wow, hey, it's been a long time. She laughed. Yeah, it has. I heard about everything, and I just wanted to check in. See how you're doing. I leaned back, staring out at the city skyline. I'm good. Better than ever, actually. We talked for hours, laughter replacing the weight that had once sat on my chest. Emma was my past. My future, it had just begun.